Hi guys, welcome to HR Fundas and I am Disha. In today's video, we are going to discuss as to how you can evaluate the employee's performance or employee's productivity. Now it looks like a very easy thing to do because you just need to pinpoint what is right and what is wrong with the employees or their performance, but trust me, it's not that easy. You have to be fully trained to be able to do justice to this role. Unless and until you are well equipped to handle this kind of a profile, you will not be able to do justice to your position as well as to the employees whose performance you are evaluating. So let's see how we can do that. We will also see the difference between the KRA and the job description, and also the difference between KRA and KPI. So let's get started. So now what is a KRA? KRA stands for Key Result Area. So this is the job that the employee is supposed to handle. These are the job responsibilities of an employee. Usually the KRA setting is done as soon as the employee is on board, or whenever you are starting a new financial year, that is when the KRA setting is done for all the employees. So this gives the employee specific deliverables that he is supposed to deliver throughout the year or within the specific time frame that will be defined by the manager for each and every employee. Now, what is the difference between KRA and JD? So KRA is the key result area and JD is the job description. So job description gives the broad description of duties and responsibilities. For example, it could be recruitments, employee engagement, performance appraisal. And KRA is the specific task to be undertaken by employees. So as I've just given the example that you need to hire 10 people in the month of August or in the month of September. So that is a key result area. Now, a job description cannot be measured. It's just an outline of what the employee is supposed to do. The key result area is measurable and quantifiable. So that means you have to be specific about when and what is required to be achieved. The job description remains same over the years, and the key result area will vary as per the priorities for the time period. So for example, recruitments might vary each and every month depending on how your recruitment plan is made. For example, recruitment is a job description and hiring 20 employees by 15 September is a KRA. Now, what is the difference between KRA and KPI? So KRA is the key result area and KPI is the key performance indicator. So KRA is the specific task to be undertaken by the employee and KPI evaluates the success of the employee in the assigned task. So if when you tell the employee that he's supposed to hire 20 employees by 15th of September, so whether the employee was able to meet that goal or not is what will be defined by the KPI. Now, KRA is a strategy and this is a metric. That means it quantifies whatever amount of work has been done. So it denotes the quality of work done and this is the quantity of the work done. So out of 20 employees that you were supposed to hire, were you able to hire all 20 or you could hire only 10 or you could not hire any employee. So that is what the KPI will measure. So again, if we go by the same example, hiring 20 employees by 15 September. So it can be what was the cost per hire, time taken to close the position, and quality of the hired candidate. So it should not happen that just because you had to fill the position, you got any sort of employees, maybe they match the job description, maybe they have the capabilities or not. So all these things will be evaluated by the KPI. Now let's see how you can measure employee productivity. So there are a couple of do's and don'ts that you should keep in mind before you start evaluating the employee's performance. So the first one is do not confuse their login time with their productivity. So in terms of employees who are working from home, they're very quick in reverting to mails and messages. However, when it comes to completion of tasks, they always give you a fresh deadline because it's never complete. So it's not the right way of evaluating their performance that, you know, just because they revert on time or at the earliest, that means that they are more productive than other employees who are taking a longer time to revert to your mails or messages. It should only be counted in terms of the task assigned. Do not let employees flout attendance policy. So for example, there are certain employees who are able to finish their task or their work very quickly because yes, they are better or faster than the other employees. But then again, there are certain codes of conduct that you would want them to follow, discipline that you would want them to follow. So please do not discount them on the attendance policy that they can work only 2 hours every day or the sorts, because sooner or later your other employees will find that out and it is going to be a problem for you to manage those employees. Rate employees on a similar matrix. So as I've just mentioned, there are all sorts of employees. Some are very fast at working, some are very good at working. However, your matrix should not be very different from each others, so that when you are evaluating your employees, you can have a consensus on which employee is better than the other. Now, irrelevant travel or flow rounds does not count as productivity. So there are certain employees who will always be looking forward to visit the outlets, visit your stores or your manufacturing plants for one or the other reason. So and they will tell you that I am needed there because I have to go and check this or monitor this. So you have to understand that this all is a cost of the, if the employee travels, it's at company's cost. And most importantly, what is the purpose of the employee being there? So you will have to actually figure out whether the employee's travel is important or not, or is he just trying to show that by traveling he is trying to achieve something better for the organization, but in essence he's just trying to escape the office so that nobody keeps a track of what he has been doing. Focus not just on ideation but also on the execution. So ideas are important and you should welcome all employees, whoever wants to give a good idea to for the team or for the organization, but you should ensure that you have good amount of points for people who are able to implement those ideas or execute those ideas. So ideation is important, but so is the execution of the idea. Now, OKR goal setting. So what is OKR goal setting? So OKR stands for Objective Key Result. So by that, what do we mean by OKR goal setting? So it means that your objective should be big. You know, you should have big goals. You should think big. So even if you're able to achieve only 60 to 70% of the big dream that you thought or the big goal that you set out for yourself, you will still be better than a lot of your competitors, as compared to the fact that you have a very small goal which your team is able to achieve very easily, and hence nobody feels motivated to step out of their comfort zone. So you should have big goals so that everybody feels compelled to grow. Now the key results, these are qualitative as well as quantitative. And how can you uh, measure these? By growth in your revenue or your customer satisfaction scores or your overall market share. So all these are signs that your goals are big and you are able to achieve them effectively. Don't cut corners to reach the objective. So your goal should be to make more money or have more profitability in the organization rather than saving on costs so that you can show more productivity. That's the wrong mindset. Keep an eye on the quality of your products or services. So you should not compromise on your on the quality of your products or your services or your people, because if that happens, then definitely your company is going to suffer. Now, how to measure employee productivity? So the first one is prepare a meaningful metric. That means your metric should not be based on any of your biased mindset. You should be able to count what matters. So as I've just mentioned, if your employees are just traveling aimlessly, then it does not really make any sense. It's of no use to you or the employee. He's just wasting everybody's time and the company's resources. So count what matters. What is he able to achieve from that travel is what you should be looking at. If the same thing can be done sitting in office, there is no need for this guy to be wasting his full day, 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, whatever the plan he's made. There is no use for that. You can do Zoom calls and get people to report to you over a Zoom call. Discard what does not matter. So if somebody is wasting his effort and time towards things which are not as productive as it should be, then you should stop that employee from wasting time. So, for example, there are certain employees who will who sweet talk. They have a lot of excuses. This can be personal excuses, professional excuses. They want to. They do a lot of show off that they are busy doing a lot of things, whereas essentially the end product is zero. The end result is zero. So you should value genuine efforts. That way, you will be motivating all your employees to put in extra efforts, to put in their best foot forward, so that the company benefits and you benefit and the employee also benefits. These kind of people who are just showing off or just trying to be good to the management, they are not good for your growth as well as for your company's growth. So you need to keep these employees in check. Now, productivity comparison chart. So this is a very good metric for all the managers. This will be able to help you understand how the productivity was and how it should be in the coming days or nearer to your deadlines. So define the productivity level. So whatever your business is, if it's sales or if it's a manufacturing plant, you should be able to figure out what was the sales last year during this time, or what is it that we plan to do. So accordingly you should be able to define the productivity level of your team. Measure employees activity against this chart, and you can evaluate these performances on a monthly basis, quarterly or yearly basis. So depending on how big is your team and how much time can you spare for these kind of activities, you should be evaluating the employee performances, and also give them feedback on how and where they need to improve. So this is a very good exercise. If you're able to do this, everything will fall in line, and at the end of the year you will know which employee deserves the maximum raise in his salary and which employee is ready for promotion. Now, the third one is measure productivity by profit. So it's quite simple that if your organization is profitable, only then you know that your employees are putting in their efforts. If it's not profitable, or if you're struggling to make profit even in your second year, third year, fourth year, then it definitely means that you do not have the right people in the right places. So the first thing is the company making profit? If not, then who is slowing it down? So you can break it down into departments, and then you will be able to answer your own question whether it's a specific department that's slowing down. So for example, if it's a sales department and they are not really enthusiastic about the job, they do not have big dreams, they are not able to contribute as much as they should be, then obviously everything is a waste. Completion of tasks. So rather than anything else, what matters is the completion of tasks. So if your employees are not able to complete their task on time, then there is a problem. So define KRAs for every employee. So KRAs are defined when the employee joins or at the beginning of the financial year. So every employee will have his predefined KRAs, and check if the employees complete the assigned tasks or not. So this is extremely critical for each and every employee. If they are not checked on time, then they will only do more of it, and they will also encourage other employees to stop performing to their best levels. Now the last one is 360-degree feedback. This is again a very good tool. Why? Because sometimes the manager is biased towards specific employees, maybe because he is aware of the capabilities of the employee and he assumes that the employee will not be able to do any better than this. Or maybe the employee is going through some personal setbacks and the manager is trying to be supportive, but eventually the organization is suffering. And how long will you be able to support such an employee is also a question that you need to answer. So a 360-degree feedback is very good. You can ask the fellow colleagues to rate employees in the key positions. Obviously, it's not possible for every employee, so you can do it for the key positions, people in the key positions. Keep the feedback anonymous so that the employees can give you an honest opinion. If you're going to just read out that so and so person has mentioned so and so about you, then obviously they will feel violated, and going forward nobody is going to tell you the truth. Pick up the areas of improvement for the employee and then prepare a performance improvement plan with this employee so that the employee can benefit from this feedback and improve his or her performance. So these were 5 ways in which you will be able to gauge the employee's productivity and also give him a constructive feedback as to how he can perform better. So I hope you will like this video, and if you do, please give me a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.